Welcome to Leveling Up Google, Teacher Tools and More, or as I like to call it, Love Using Google with Students, Docs and Slides Edition. This session is going to be a way for us to level up our Google skills. We know that at the beginning of the year and over the summer, we really started, and last year on Google Day, we really started to learn more about how to just get by in Google, how to start using Gmail, Google Drive instead of OneDrive, right? Use Docs instead of Word. And so we've made leaps and bounds in that way. And the goal of today is to take us sort of from that level 1 to level 2. And we're just trying to level up, learn some new skills, maybe focus on cool things we can do with Docs and Slides, and also ways that we can really start to use these tools with students. So maybe you're super comfortable now in using your Google Drive, and you've got that really well organized, in your Gmail looking good, you know all the tips and tricks for that, and Calendar you got down solid. But maybe you're not using Google with students too much yet. Maybe you haven't shared a Google Doc with them and had them create on it, or you're not sure how to distribute and collect work with Google. A lot of you are. You're using Schoology really effectively. But for those of you who aren't, or just those of you who are looking for some cool new tips, again, we're leveling up. We're going to learn how to use Google with students and some neat new tips that you can use that will hopefully help you, help your students, and make your lives a little easier. So let's jump in. We are going to start with Google Docs and some things that you may or may not know that you can do with Docs. Definitely some tips that we wanted to share and prioritize to take you to the next level. So here's the micro agenda. I went with a Valentine's Day theme, so bear with me on that. But we're going to talk about going pageless, so pageless beauty, using something called internal links, which will help you and your students navigate to things more quickly, using speech to text, a great tip for time saver tip for you, and also a great one for your students to know. What I'm calling ooh la la outlines and tantalizing tabs, definitely organizational things that are brilliant and are really going to help you with Google Docs. And lastly, sharing is caring, and a variety of ways that it's important for you to know about sharing, and also different ways that you can try sharing with students if you've not yet tried, like I said, distributing and collecting work using Google Docs. So let's get started with Pageless Beauty. Right, from this point on, I'm going to do a little bit of toggling from the slide that I've created, like you see here, to a live demo of an actual Google Doc or Google slide and how you can navigate on that. So here we're talking about going pageless, and this is an option that we have with Google that we didn't have in the Microsoft environment. So it's really cool, and I've used it more and more in times when it proves useful. And when does it prove useful? It's an unlimited vertical scrolling page. It doesn't have page breaks. There's no end of page. And when might you use that? I would say anytime you don't need to print it. So if you have a long resource document, let's say it's 20 paragraphs worth of information, or an entire story that you want to share with students, there's really no need, unless that's going to be printed, no need for there to be page breaks where we stop at the end of one page and there's an inch margin at the bottom and then the next page starts. So the option to go pageless is really great when you're sharing anything that doesn't need to be printed, that maybe several people are accessing, and you just want to be able to scroll down the entirety of a document. So I'll show you that first. Okay, here we have a page. I call it Pageless Beauty. I've copied 16 pages of Romeo and Juliet on there, and you can see there's page numbers on here. It's numbered. There are definitely page breaks in here. But if this was just a long story that you wanted to share with students and it's not going to be printed, this might be something that would be just perfect for this. There are two places really that you can do this to make it pageless. I'll show you the first one. If you go to File and Page Setup, you'll see the option for pages and pageless. This is also where you can do all the great things like switch it to landscape, change your margin, even change the background color of the page. But on the side, here's another tab that a lot of people didn't notice, but it's called Pageless. When you click on this, again, it will let you choose a different background color if you want, and you can just click OK. Now, this document, what it did, it just kind of widened the page. It took any distractors off the side, and look, those page breaks are gone. So I see there's still page numbers here because when I copy pasted it, that came over, but it's one long document, technically 16 pages, but really one long page now. It's a really nice option. The other place where you could do this, so I showed you File, Page Setup to do that. I'll click over here on Format because it's there too. Often in Google, there's more than one place to do the same thing. So if I click on Format, switch to Pages Format, and it'll take me back to Pages. Again, if I click on Format, switch to Page List Format. So there's that button there. Just a really nice option that a lot of people didn't know about, but a great one for teachers if they're sharing things with students. And I'll show you even more tips on how to organize this in just a minute. The next tip for teachers has to do with creating what we call internal links, links that are going to be inside your document that you can then share with students so that when they click the link, it will take them to that exact spot in the document. Let's say that you have, oh my goodness, a marking period's worth of notes, and you have a 20-page document that you're sharing with students, and it's about a topic that they've learned about, and you really want them to get to almost the second to the last page where there's a section that you've recently included. You can drop a link in there and then share that link with the students, and it will take them to that exact section so they don't have to scroll through the first 18 pages. Let me show you the easy way to do that. All right, here we are on a sample doc that I have. It's a biology page about cells, the basic units of life, and I've put some nonsensical information in here. But you can see it's broken down by some little sections and headings, subsections. It's got numbered sections. Let's say this was the part that I added today. What do we need to know about cells? Cell phone, right? This was an important part, and this is really what I want to direct the students to today. If I come to cell phone and I highlight that section, that subtitle, and then I come up here to the thing that looks like a link, I can click on Headings and Bookmark and click on the one that says Cell Phone. These are all the different sections that we have in here. So I'll click on Cell Phone. As soon as I do that, you'll see that it turned it into a hyperlink or something that's clickable, right? It became underlined, it turned blue. Then if I right click on that, and I can choose Copy Link URL, or that's the website address for that. Now I'm going to open a new browser tab. I'm just going to open a new one, and I'll paste that link in there. I know it's above the screen. You can't see what I'm doing, but trust me, I just did. Notice how when I did that, it opens to that exact section. This is such a great tip for teachers who are sharing documents with students, and you really just want them to get to a set place. So great tip for Google Docs. Our next pro tip for Google Docs is one that I use all the time, so I thought it'd be a great one to share. And did you know that Google Docs has a speech-to-text functionality? As a teacher, as an educator, I use this all the time. I'm somebody who likes to dictate things, and then I know it might make some errors. I can go back and tweak it, but trust me, I get out my thoughts a lot more quickly. And it's just a time saver for me. It's a fast way to get things down on paper. So I use speech-to-text a lot. But we know that this is an invaluable tool for our students. So even if you don't think you'll use it, please know this and be able to show it to your students, because it's for students who have IEPs, who need accommodations, who have 504s, it's great. But you know what? This is an accommodation that all kinds of people can use. So where is it? Well, my little picture here on the screen shows you it's in Docs. It's on the Tools toolbar, and then you can come down and find a section called Voice Typing, and then you just start speaking to type. So, of course, I'm going to show you an example of what that looks and how to find it. Here is another doc that I've set up just to show you speech to text. If I click anywhere on the page, and then just like the GIF showed you, or the image showed you on the last page, we're going to go to Format. So here's just another document that I created to show you how awesome speech to text is. I set up a sweet little document here, and I'll click here because this is where I'm going to want to insert my text. And just like I showed you on that picture, if we come to Tools, one of the options here says Voice Typing. So if I click on Voice Type, a little microphone appears here. Sometimes it'll first ask for permission first, you know how you do that, but once you give it permission, then a microphone will come up. It does have language options, so if you have students who speak in other languages, it'll do that as well, but I'm just going to be an English-speaking person today, and right now I'm going to click. I hope all the teachers who are watching this enjoy learning about Google Docs asynchronously. And then I stopped. It did a pretty good job that time. I can dictate punctuation if I want to. Like I could have said period at the end of that and then asked a question and said the words question mark, and it will put those punctuation marks in there. It's a really, really great little tip to know, and it's just hidden up there on the Tools tab on the toolbar. Speech to text, good thing. Next up is Ooh La La Outlines. It's one of my very favorite things to show anybody who works in Google Doc because it's an organizational gem. It's like it says here, it's my favorite tip for organizing longer docs, for running agendas, for docs with sections and subheadings, by date, and more. So let's just take a look at the GIF that's running in the background, or GIF, whichever you prefer, that's running in the background there. You can see that what I'm doing is I'm highlighting words, and there's touch. Oops, there we go. And then on this side, there's a little sidebar that opens. Okay, so here it starts again. I'm highlighting the word general. I come up to where it says normal text, and I change that to be heading 1, 2, 3, or 4, doesn't matter. As soon as I do that, as soon as I designate it as a heading and not normal text, this little sidebar menu over here becomes a valuable toolbar for navigating the entire doc as it lists out any of the sections you've designated as headings. This will make a little bit more sense if I jump in and show you how it works and give you a couple examples that you can use. All right, here we have another mock-up document that I've made to practice this. It's called How to Create an Outline in Google Docs. Okay, and remember I told you there's a little sidebar menu here. If I hover on it or click on it right now to expand it, I can see that there it is. That's the title of my document. That's actually the title. But if I come down, I've got some headings I plopped in here. If I want to add those to this sidebar menu, add to format outline, I just highlight that subheading, come up to normal text, and I can choose whether I want it to be big, medium, or small. These are just different sizes. I'll go with big for this one. It actually changes the size of it, and over here now you can see that's listed as part of my outline. Let's do another one. Come down a little bit. How to create an outline in Google Docs. This one, I can make it heading 1, and you can see it's at the same level here, but if I change that to heading 2, see how it's indented a little bit? It's a subheading under the first heading. So this is how you can go about and organize your documents for easy navigation. And I'll make that a heading 3. Now, if I were at the top of this document, see it's 20-some pages long, it's a really long document, and I wanted to get to any certain part, if I click here and then I click on that, it will automatically jump to that section. So this is an awesome navigational tool for longer documents. Quick story I can tell you because I used it in this way super functionally. I was part of a team, as most of you are, and we had a running agenda that we kept on a long Google Doc. And every time we had another meeting, we added the new meeting minutes to the top. So the most recent was always at the top, which was really convenient. And it was organized by date, but we didn't have any of this created. So I went back through the entire thing, and it was 50, 60 pages of meeting notes that we had in there. And all I did was I made every single date a heading. And that way we could jump back through time quickly by using the system on the side to get back to, what happened last November, what happened in, September. So we could quickly jump to different sections. It's a really, really great tool organizing things for yourself or for your students. So I hope this is useful. This next Google Doc feature is called Tantalizing Tabs. And when I talked about Google last summer, this wasn't even a feature. So it's a fairly new feature, and it's one that I love, 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 love. It's a great tip, once again, for organizing your longer docs and your running agendas. This works hand in hand with outlines a little bit, but it has some bells and whistles that work in conjunction with outline, and it can do even a little bit more. So let's take a look at Tantalizing Tabs. I wanted to start with this use case scenario for teachers because I think this is a way that a lot of you will use this. What I've done is let's say I'm teaching narrative stories. A lot of my students are working on their final drafts for their narrative stories that we've been doing for a while, and I want them to publish them. And I want them to publish them in kind of a class book or a place where students can see each other's work, and maybe we can even share this out with the greater world, right? So what I've done is I've kind of created kind of a class book. Those of you who used to love OneNote will really love this. It's the closest thing that we have to OneNote in the Google ecosystem. So what I did is I clicked here to add a tab, and it just adds a tab, and it names it tab 9. The very first tab that I created, I called front cover. How did I name it that instead of tab 9? I clicked those 3 dots and I went to rename and I called it front cover. And when I was done, I clicked off. The front cover, I went to Canva and I designed this just like the cover of a book. And here you can see there's my whole page, right? This is what I put for the front cover. Now, what you could do is create a tab for each of your students. And they would be like sections of the book, but it's got something really neat about it. So let's go to the next section, which would be Jim's section. All right, student Jim knows that he can come to this page and he can paste his work in here, or he can write his work in here. This is Jim's section. But what I love about this, and I'll just type a little bit on here, is that, even as Jim is writing, and let's say he's a prolific writer and he has a lot to say, when he's done, it's not just one page that Jim gets. These are sections. Each one is a tab or a section. Jim could have a 27-page story in his section, right? So we still have our front cover. Jim has his own space, and it can be as many pages as it needs to be. It's just called a tab in Google, right? And then Matt would have his own page and Heather would have her own page, and of course you can add all the bells and whistles to this, add images and things like that. Students could certainly use voice typing to help them with this, but it's just a great way to use tabs. And I have one other way that I want to show you. Okay, the second way that I wanted to show you is more for teacher use than student use, although you could certainly adapt this and use it with students. So let's say you're collecting your own resources to use for Wit and Wisdom. You want to have a big old digital notebook, reminiscent of OneNote again, right? So a place where you're organizing all your Wit and Wisdom resources in Google Docs. It's now possible, and I think it's fantastic, as a matter of fact. So here's my cover page. I'm going to click over here. And if I click on this little part right here, I can see that I've got Wit and Wisdom resources. Again, I renamed that. That's my cover slide. I just clicked on the 3 dots, went to rename, and that's what I called it, Wit and Wisdom resources. But under that, I wanted to have other tabs. Remember, tabs are big sections that can be multi-page. So when I click on Module 1, here's what I had for Module 1. And I was organizing it. I put some important text at the top here, but I also wanted to have some subheadings in this. Again, this could be 90 pages long, this section on Module 1, but if I had some subheadings, maybe I was going to keep some digital resources, some videos, some supplemental slide decks, some assessment ideas, some project ideas, all within this Module 1 section. I can still use headings even within tabs. Does this make sense now? So you know what tabs are. This is a heading, and I've already made it a heading here because when I highlight it, I can come up and see that it's heading level 1. Right? And this one, I've made a heading and it's heading level 2, and I've applied heading level 2 to each of these. I know that that happens because now when I come over and click on Module 1, look. So yes, it's a section, it's a tab, but you can also organize it by these outline headings within your tabs. So it's just a way to get deeper and deeper, more granular, and organize even your own resources. Great way to teach kids to organize too, because teaching kids about how to organize digitally is really a really valuable life skill and something you can just sort of slip in. Barely feels like you're teaching it, but it's so valuable to them for learning how to get organized. Just another great skill, something cool that you can do with Google Docs. Okay, our next Google tip is one that I think a lot of you already have a handle on, but I just wanted to review it, especially if sharing with students is new to you. If you're somebody who hasn't really yet tried sharing a Google Doc and collecting things back with students via Google Docs, sharing permissions are super, super important. So let's just take a look at the graphic on here because it's pretty self-explanatory. When you have a Google Doc open, you've learned that at the top right there is a share button. And when you click on that, you'll get a screen that looks like this. And it says, obviously, that you have access. But if you want to share that before you click copy link, you want to make sure that you're setting these permissions correctly, right? So here, if you do a drop-down list, it will generally say anyone restricted, anyone in Washington Township Public Schools, or anyone with the link. And you can choose Washington Township Public Schools or anyone with the link. A lot of times I'll do anyone with the link just because I know that covers everybody. And then what level of permission do you want them to have? So if you're sharing a doc with students and you just want them to be able to read it, you want to choose viewer. If you want them to be able to comment on it, there's a little comment feature where they can just drop their thoughts on the outside and not mess up any of your text. Then you can make them a commenter. Or if you want them to have access you could make them an editor. If you're using some of those suggestions that I had about using the tabs feature where everybody was going to have their own page, of course you're going to need to set that to editor because all the kids with whom you share that link are going to need to be editors, right? Once you have that set to the way that you want it to be, you copy the link, and that's the link you'll share out. Let's just take a look at that in real time real quick, just so that you can see what it looks like in action. Okay, here I am on my very, very basic doc. Sharing is caring, and there's that share button at the top right. When you click on that, again, in real time, here's what pops up. I've got access, and it is restricted to only me right now. So I want to click on this and make sure if I'm sharing with my students, if I want them to be able to collaborate on this, then I'm choosing anybody in Washington Township Public Schools or anyone with the link. Right now, they're only going to be able to view. So if you needed them to add something to this document, it's not going to work. They can only read, view only. So you want to make sure that they can either comment, so they can drop comments in there, or editing rights, where they have full-on rights where they're allowed to type in their designated sections of the document. For this one, I'll make it editor. Just double check this before I copy the link, and then that's the link that I will share out with them via Schoology or a bit.ly URL shortener or a QR code or any of the other ways that we can share. So we'll be explore more of that in just a second, but that's the basics of sharing that you need to know before we get to the next part. Okay, maybe this is a little bit lesser known fact. Some of you haven't played with this yet, but you can share a document very, very easily with students in several different ways. So you can invite them as collaborators, like I showed on the last slide, the Sharing is Caring doc, where basically everybody's got access to that same document. You give them a place where they can go to type. Maybe they have a tab section. Maybe they have, maybe there's a chart where they're supposed to go to fill in information, but it's a collaborative doc. Everybody's on there. Sometimes that's what you want to do, but sometimes teachers, you make a template. You make maybe a graphic organizer or an outline that you want filled in, and that's something you want to share with students, but you want every student in the class to have an exact copy of that. It's like sharing a template, right? You've got your master copy, you send it out to all the students, and when they click on a link, it opens their very own copy. Nobody else is on it, just them alone. And that's a really valuable thing. We're going to use that a lot, right? So there's a trick for that. In the URL or in the web address, you can change the end of any of it from /edit to /copy. Don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like in just a minute, which is really cool. There's also a Google extension that helps with that can do it really quickly. It's really cute. It's free. It's called Sir Links-A-Lot. I'm going to show you that in just a second too. And it gives you different options where you can tell this or have the students force a copy, which is what I just said. Basically, it's going to make them their own copy. They also can open things in preview mode, template mode, or PDF mode. And I'll show you what those look like in Sir Links-A-Lot right now. Again, when you're sharing with students, how are you going to get this document, this thing to them, this template? You can do that via Schoology, right here in the heart. Via Schoology, you could do a QR code. You could paste a link on your own Google site or your website or wherever the kids go to access your information. You could do it through Seesaw. You could do it through bit.ly, which is a link shortener that I use a lot. Let's take a look at what this looks like to change the ending of the URL from edit to copy, and then we'll take a look at how Sir Links-A-Lot can help. Okay, for this purpose, I'm going to use the same Sharing is Caring template that I've just created, the same one that I was on before. Let's say that this was the title of a poem. You wanted all the students to write a poem about sharing is caring. You want them to have this exact document. If you notice up here in the URL, in the web address, there's the word edit. It might be longer here at the end. You might have to scroll back until you see that word edit, but I promise on every doc you ever create, the word edit is in there. So what we'll do is we'll kind of click at the end of it. Sorry, I'll click right here, and I'm going to come back all the way to the word edit. Leave the little slash before it, just back up to the word edit, and instead over that, you're just going to type the word copy. So now it's the same URL, it's just ending in the word copy, right? I'll click off, you can see that it has the word copy, and then this would be what you share with students. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm going to paste this in because I want you to see what students get now. They get this. When the student opens it, it says, would you like to make a copy of Sharing is Caring? Oops. And the students would click Make a Copy. Notice it's named Copy of Sharing is Caring, and now they have their very own copy of this document. Let's say they need to type their poem on here, right? And they do this. As a teacher, I would do a couple of things just to remind the students. First of all, up here, this is the title of that document. I would probably tell kids that I want them to name it and put their name in the front so that when I see these or I collect these or I get these or they share the link with me, I can tell at a glance whose this is. So this is Mikey's Sharing is Caring. And also remember to teach your students that if they're going to share this back with you, they're going to submit via email or Schoology or through a doc that you have set up for them to share, they need to do the same sharing permissions that you now know and teach, and they need to be taught this. So click on share. Mikey's going to share this with you. He would want to say anybody in Washington Township, and he's either going to give you viewing rights, or as a teacher, I would always say have students give you commenting or editing rights. You don't just want to be able to view and not be able to type anything on there. So you get to choose what you'd rather do. I'll make Mikey say that I can be an editor, click done, and then, and then this is the link that Mikey will share back with me however I tell him to share it. So that was just an important skill. Remember, I changed the end of the URL to copy. I shared that. It made Mikey force a copy. And then that's he had his very own copy that nobody else was collaborating on. All right, let's take a look at how Sir Links-A-Lot can help with some of this. As I mentioned, Sir Links-A-Lot is a Google extension. So the best way to get to it is come up here and type in Sir Links-A-Lot extension. And you do want it to make sure that you're going to the Chrome web store for this, right? So you might find some other links to Sir Links-A-Lot down below, but make sure it's taking you to the Chrome web store because that's where you're going to get it. When you click on this, right here, mine says remove from Chrome because I already have it installed. Yours will say install. You're just going to click on that, say yes, I approve, and you will have Sir Links-A-Lot installed. Where does it get installed? Right here. See Sir Links-A-Lot? This is his little logo. As soon as I installed him, he went up here to where my extensions live. And that's him right there. Let me just show you a little pro trick. You may have installed extensions and not know where the heck they went. They live in the puzzle piece. If you've ever installed some, they live in the puzzle piece. And if you're not seeing it up top, click on the puzzle piece and it will show you all of the extensions that you have. Oh, I have more than I even realized, right? Sir Links-A-Lot is showing for me up here because I clicked the little thumbtack next to it. I pinned it. So if I unpin it, see how he went away up there? If I click again, he's pinned. He lives up at the top now. This is one that I use a lot, so I leave that one pinned to the top. And you can do that with any of your extensions. You can pin your Bitmoji or unpin your Bitmoji. That's where your extensions live, in the puzzle piece. And then the ones that you pin will stay up here. So I've got Sir Links-A-Lot installed. Let's take a look at how he works. Okay, to demo this, I came back to the Sharing is Caring. I'm on the original one with the word edit up at the top. Remember, so I haven't changed it to copy or anything because I'm going to use Sir Links-A-Lot to do that this time. So if I come over, this is only going to work when you're in Google Docs or Google Sheets or something, a Google product. So here I am, I'm in a Google product and I've got Sir Links-A-Lot hanging out up here. When I click on him, it's this easy. This is all it does. Force copy does exactly what I said before. If I click on this, you see what it did? It just changed that word to copy for me. It's doing with a click of a button what I did manually up here. All right, you've got some other options. It can also change it into a preview. I'll show you what these look like. It'll change it into a template/preview, or it'll change it into a PDF. So you have these options. I don't use PDF that much, but you know, maybe I should. These are pretty cool. So force copy is going to do exactly what I already showed you, where it's making a copy for the own student. It already changes that word to copy. So I've kind of shown you that in the last part. Let me just show you what preview looks like. So I'll do that. I'll copy this link to my clipboard. I'm going to open a new tab and I'll paste it in so that you can see what preview looks like. Still loading. And it literally just looks like a preview. There's nothing that the kids can do with it. It's sort of a read only, but get rid of all the background noise sort of a look. And sometimes this is exactly how you want to share something with students. Maybe you've created a great resource for them and you want it to be read only in a super clean copy and they can scroll through the whole thing and it's literally just a preview. Let's get out of that one. Let's go back and see what else Sir Links-A-Lot can do. Back here again. Heading back to Sir Links-a-Lot. This time I'm going to click on, instead of preview, I'll click on the template, preview and template. This one's pretty cool. This is one I would use a lot with students. So click on template, see how it changed the end of the URL. I'll copy that link to clipboard and I'll come out and I'll paste that in and show you what this one looks like. So again, still loading. Now you can see it's the exact same as preview mode. It's showing up. It's got the black background on this one though, which is pretty nice. And up at the top, it's a little cut off up here, but you can see that it has use template. So it gives the viewer, whoever you send this to, it gives them a sneak peek of what it is. So instead of just that random screen that says, click here to make a copy, they actually get to see what it looks like before they make the copy. That's what this is. So it's a really nice one. And like I said, Sir Links-a-Lot does that for you by just clicking there. I think Sir Links-a-Lot's going to be your friend. I think you'll have a lot of use for him. So I'm glad I introduced you to. Okay, this is our last tip in the Google Docs section. After this, we'll move to just a few things about Google Slides. But one of the things that we really wanted to leave you with is, all right, now you're ready to start sharing work with students. You know about Sir Links-a-Lot, you know about sharing permissions, you know about ways to get copies of the documents to students, tabs and all the different things. Now you want students to work on their own copy, but how are they going to get this to you? Now, if you're using Schoology, you already know you have the Google Drive app installed and you know how to distribute and collect work. But if you're somebody who hasn't tried that yet, you're not using Schoology, or you're at a younger grade and you want to try that, I just want to leave you with a couple of great tips and ways that you could totally share with students and collect work, distribute and collect work. So I just linked them here. You could share a doc like this. Before you do this, by the way, make sure sharing permissions are set. Anyone with the link can edit and copy or can comment. You want to make sure that you have the right permission. All right, first one, you could share a doc like this. Oops. Okay, here it is. And I shared this with many teachers this year. They're like, how do I just do this quickly? If Hugh G. Hart and Lala Lovett and Valentine are each working on their own documents, you've forced a copy or you pushed it out through Sir Links-a-Lot. They worked on their own, they've got their own, and they're ready to share it back with you. You can just have them make sure that they get the share. Anyone with the link can comment or can edit, right? Because they're sharing it back with you, and have them paste the link next to their name on this collaborative document. So, Hugh can put his link here. Lala Lovett can put hers here, and everybody's got their own space. If you do this, a couple things to keep in mind. One, before you share this with students, make sure that you've set it to share. Anyone with the link is an editor, because you need them all to be able to get in and edit on this same document. The other thing you want to discuss is digital citizenship, right? Because what's to stop Rosa Red from going in and deleting Sherry's link, right? So it's really important to have those discussions about everybody has a space. You're only to work in your own space. There is a way for teachers to check this because there's something called version history in Docs, but you can get back in and make those changes. But perfect time to introduce when we work in collaborative fashion on Google, on Canva, or whatever we're working on. Everybody needs to stay in their own space and respect the privacy and the space of others. So that's a great one. This is super quick for a teacher to be able to come in and check work. You're just going to click each link next to each student and you've got them all collected in one place. So that's one way. I have a second way. Okay, and my second way is going to look very familiar to you because you can create and share a doc with tabs like this, tabs, and give everyone their own section, which I've already showed you, right? So again, you want your permissions to be anyone with the link, or Washington Township Schools is an editor because each student's going to be collaborating on this same doc. And that is just a scenario like this. Oops. All right, again, this should look familiar this time. Let's say we had a class project where everybody was writing Valentine's Day poems. I made that using tabs. I made that my cover slide. Each student has his or her own page. I've put their names there. Everybody's got their space. This is a really easy way for you to collect work. So Be Mine would simply go to her page. She could put her things here. Again, take the time to discuss that digital citizenship because we want Be Mine to actually be on Be Mine's page and not Bella Moore's page. So just two ways where you can distribute and collect work using Google Docs if you haven't tried that with students yet. All right, let's move on and start looking at some things with Google Slides real quickly. No, wait. Before we go to slides, if you are somebody like me who just loves docs, you're amazed at all that you can do with docs. I have created a presentation that is way over an hour, and it's got all kinds of things. It is the most easy to read and use and navigate presentation. It's in slides, but it's called Do More with Docs. If you would like to explore that, you got some extra time on your hands, you're like, what else has she got for me? What other goodies? Just go to this URL here. So it's bit.ly/docs, and you do have to make both of those capital D's capitals for it to work, but that will take you to my whole presentation. It's really fun. There's so much more you can do with docs. This was just a taste, but if you're super interested, go ahead and check that out. All right, now let's take a look at slides. All right, we're ready for the second and final section and much shorter section of this session. So it's just called Snuggle Up to Slides. You can see the agenda is very short for this, and I'm basically going to give you some resources to save you time. So this is not about how to create Google Slides. I feel like some of you already know that, and we gave a lot of that on Google Day. Also happy to meet with you if you'd like a refresher, and we have a lot of that on our Township Goes Google website. But here, I just wanted to, again, remember the battery I showed at the very beginning? We're trying to level you up, give you some ways to use tools maybe that you hadn't thought of yet, and to use tools with students. So we're going to hit on some great resources. Slides Mania, Slides Carnival, Ditch That Textbook. I'll show you some fun ways that you can use those, and then we'll be done with this session. So let's jump into Slides Mania and Slides Carnival. I'd love to show you how you can use those. Big smooches for these free slide template creators. These are two organizations or people that create a website full of pre-created slide templates for people to use for free. So Slides Mania, I happen to know her. It's a woman named Paula, and she creates such beautiful things, mostly for educators, and they're all free. You can use them. You can download the templates that she created as a PowerPoint or as Google Slides. So now we're using Google Slides, and I'll show you how easy that is in just a second, how to navigate Paula's site, Slides Mania, and a second site, which is very similar. Sometimes you're just looking for special content. You'll want to head over to Slides Carnival. I'll show you both of them real quickly. Hopefully you'll find some inspiration or something you think is super cool. Let's click on Slides Mania, and I'm going to go right here. All right, this is the site. It is this basic and this easy. If you scroll down, you'll see lots of ideas. She's got categories, things she's worked on recently. Hopefully you're seeing some slide decks that you think are pretty awesome. I like that monkeys one. You can navigate that way, or you can come up to the top. Go by all templates, popular education. She's got these categorized out. Maybe you're a teacher who really loves to use choice boards, or you're looking for a digital planner that you can use, right? She's got, or you need one of those cool morning meeting slides. I'm going to go back down to that monkey one because I think it's kind of cute, and I'm going to click on that just to show you how easy this is to work. When we come down, you'll be able to see it. You can preview it here by clicking through the slides just to see what they look like. Everything is editable. So if you don't like the color yellow font, you can change that or anything else, right? Everything on here is editable. She's just giving you a beautiful pre-made template. And if you want to open that in Google Slides, you would click here. And she shares a template preview, which we talked about in the last section, right? So this is a template preview. You can see the template. You can check it out full size, see if you like it. And if you like it, choose Use Template, and it's going to force a copy so you get your own copy of it. So that's how Paula's site worked. That's called Slides Mania. And the other one that I promised to show you really quickly was called Slides Carnival, and I'll just click here to go there. And you'll see it's the same. It's a free website, Slides Carnival, free PowerPoint and Google Slides templates for your presentations. Same type of a thing. I don't think it's as exclusively education focused, but there's a lot of great education content here that you can use. Sticking with our theme, let's go to Valentine's Day. And when I click on that, you can see that under each, it tells you this one I can download as a Canva template, or Google Slides, or PowerPoint. So it gives you the little icons to let you know what you can download it as. If you choose to download as a Google Slides template, it takes you straight to that, make a copy. So it's going to force a copy, and then you've got it and you can edit away. Okay, lastly, I wanted to share this one with you because I think it's such a powerhouse of resources for every teacher. This is the way that I think of it mostly is a warehouse full of graphic organizers that teachers love, love, love to use, and he makes them free and you can push them out. So there's a guy named Matt Miller. He's an acquaintance of mine. He's super well known in the education world. I mean, he's a featured speaker at a lot of the ed tech conferences. Really awesome guy, really giving guy, because he's created an entire site called Ditch That Textbook. He wrote a book called Ditch That Textbook, and he has a site called Ditch That Textbook. And on there, he houses all kinds of great things and freebies, including a lot of Google Slides templates that he has created and he shares with us for free. These are teacher time savers. So when you're doing a lesson and you want to distribute and collect work from students like we've been talking about, check out Matt's resources here at Ditch That Textbook. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, you're about to get more excited than you thought you were going to, because there's a lot of awesomeness here and pre-created stuff that's really, really cool. Probably inspire some lesson ideas. So he says at the top, don't do the work if you don't have to. Our templates get your students to work quickly. Download them or make a copy. They're all yours, right? So, whoops, sorry, overscrolled. You can see that he's got sections. He's done a really nice job of organizing this. So he's got little social media templates. We're going to take a look at those. Some game templates, interactive quizzes, graphic organizers. You can go on. These are the categories at the top. And as I scroll down, I can see more specifically what he's got. So look, social media templates. Maybe you want your students to do an Apple review of a book that they just watched or a movie that the class produced. Got it available as a template in Google Slides, a template in PowerPoint. You want them to write a Yelp review of a restaurant that they've been to, right? And practice doing that. Or maybe you want them to write a tweet or do a Spotify, or look, even a TikTok template for what they could do in Google Slides. Yes, that would be so much fun. Instagram stories, you get the idea. Look at all of this inspiration. Next time you're sitting down to do your lesson planning, why not start here? He's got so much great stuff for you for free that you can just download as a Google Slides presentation, open as a Google, and then force that copy out to all your students. And they've got something really cool and ready-made that they can work on. Take a look at his graphic organizers. He's got stuff for every subject area that we teach, K-12 and beyond, and just so much more, so much more. So thanks to Matt for doing all this for free. And I know this is going to be a great resource for Google Slides that you'll embrace. All right, let's wrap things up. You know that I have a fondness for feedback. I really do like to hear from you. I like to hear from people after I do any kind of a presentation, asynchronous or live, and I just appreciate your feedback. You're going to help to make me better as a presenter. So here is a QR code. If you want to scan this with your phone, you can do it. I think it's only 2 or 3 questions. And it's anonymous. You do not have to put your name on there. So if you just want to give me authentic, anonymous feedback, you can. If you do want to include your name, there's a place for that on there. If you don't want to scan this with your phone, that's okay. You can go to this bit.ly feedback for Kath. And that does have to be a capital F, capital or number 4, and capital K for it to work. So I'd love feedback. It's optional. If you don't get to do this, totally understand, but I just thought I'd put it there because I really do like to hear from you. And lastly, thank you. Thank you for sticking with me for this whole thing, for learning a little bit more about docs and slides and the things that you can do with the powerful, powerful things that you can do with them. Remember that battery I showed you at the beginning? Hopefully we leveled up. And there's some things that you learned or are able to practice or try after today that you didn't know about before. So thank you very much. And if you want to try any of this stuff and you're a little nervous, or you want to go a little bit deeper, or you just want to talk to me about anything, don't forget I have a booking link. It's bit.ly/book Kathy K. And again, capital B, capital K for it to work. And that's it. That concludes our session today on Leveling Up Google, Teacher Tools and More, or as I wanted to call it, Love Using Google with Students, Docs and Slides Edition.